This brief segment focuses on Mexico. The goal of this presentation is to inform you on various aspects of that country in preparation for your upcoming investment decision. There are many aspects of a country that may be relevant to potential investment decisions, and the various languages of a country is the first of such issues. Similarities and/or differences in languages can have a substantial impact on a firm's ability to communicate with local customers, suppliers, and even employees. While Spanish, the dominant language of Mexico, and Portuguese are closely related, there are a considerable number of differences between the two languages. Indeed, in various aspects, the sound systems of Portuguese are more similar to Catalan or French than, say, those of Spanish. Moreover, both countries are virtually unilingual, with exceptionally few Mexicans reporting Portuguese as their mother tongue, and extremely few Brazilians reporting Spanish as their mother tongue. A second issue which can influence a firm's ability to conduct business in a foreign country is the dominant religion. Religion has a potentially powerful impact on people's value systems and can influence how they behave and interact with one another. While the religious similarities between Brazil and Mexico are undeniable, there are also some substantial differences as well. Within Brazil, the proportion of people claiming the religion is very important in their lives, 77%, is the second highest in Latin America, whereas Mexico has the second lowest percentage, 57%. Indeed, while roughly 90% of the population in Mexico is nominally Catholic, only 47% actually attend services regularly. A third factor which may influence a company's ability to conduct business in a foreign country is the level of industrial development. This not only influences the cost of labor in a country and the consumption patterns, but it also arguably shapes the attitudes, values, and behaviors of the population in general. Despite some obvious similarities, there are also substantial differences between Brazil and Mexico in terms of the level of economic and industrial development. Most notably among these are the differences in Mexico's much higher GDP per capita, almost 60% higher than Brazil, the higher level of motor vehicle ownership, 80% higher, and the higher per capita consumption of energy, almost double. A fourth important issue is the similarities and/or differences in the educational systems of countries. Despite similar levels of literacy, there are also differences between the Brazilian and Mexican education systems. Brazilian students tend to be better prepared than Mexican students after completing their basic education. However, in contrast, the graduate programs in Mexico are considered to be higher quality than those in Brazil. In Mexico, higher education also includes technical and vocational schools besides universities. A fifth critical issue with respect to doing business in another country is similarities and/or differences in the legal and political systems. Despite their common origins, the Brazilian and Mexican legal and political systems have many differences. The legal system in Mexico provides for federal and state laws. In contrast, in Brazil, the judicial system is based on the code of law and does not make the same distinction. Also, unlike in Brazil, the Mexican states have their own constitutions, and as a result have more political power. Lastly, in response to recent extreme violence, Mexico has harsher laws regarding parole and bail. A sixth but potentially more subtle issue is similarities and/or differences in actual business practices. This can involve simple but potentially embarrassing issues such as how to properly greet people and attitudes towards time. Mexico, being a typical Hispanic country, has some different business practices that Brazilian business people should be aware of. Business dress in Mexico is more conservative, and there's less emphasis on style and fashion. Conversation tends to be more reserved as well, and less personal than in Brazil. Mexicans also have a tendency to avoid saying no, instead saying maybe or we will see. Gifts are not expected in Mexico, but unlike Brazil, a small gift can go a long way in establishing a relationship. But avoid silver gifts, as Mexico is proud of their local silver, which is among the best in the world. Lastly, while Mexicans in general are more reserved than Brazilians, after getting to know someone and feeling close to them, Mexican businessmen may start exchanging a bear hug called an abrazo. It's a warm hug accompanied by a hearty back slap, followed by a handshake. The seventh and final issue is the broader set of cultural values which are commonly shared by a large portion of a country's population. Countries can vary in terms of the emphasis placed on individuality versus conformity, the attitudes towards uncertainty and ambiguity, the attitudes towards authority and social inequities, and not least, attitudes towards how gender roles are allocated in society. Brazil and Mexico have some important cultural differences. Regarding gender roles, Mexico tends to be more traditional and masculine than the Brazilian culture. The country is also a little more focused on the group than the individual and is more hierarchical. Authority and respect for that authority are more significant cultural values in Mexico. This concludes our brief presentation on Mexico.